let's hit the biggies here. Rory McIlroy goes out in 36, and KP stands on 13T at 2 over. Gets a little bit of momentum with birdies on 14 and 15 before making what was pretty much that all-world par that we saw on 18 from the front pot bunker. It was a full day from Rory. Lots of good, some not so good, and 71 when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I thought the front nine was bad. I think, I mean, I've written about him and this specifically a lot, but I think mentally it's just Paul Azinger had this great line on the broadcast where he said, hold on, I want to read it because I wrote it down. He said, it's hard to be carefree when you care the most. And I thought that was, it's impossible to measure who cares the most. It's not as if Scottie Scheffler doesn't care, Jon Rahm doesn't care. Those guys care a ton, right? I think Rory cares about history a lot. I think he cares about legacy and his own history and legacy a lot, but just golf legacy and history in general. And the weight of, when you combine the weight of caring with the weight of the drought, it's hard to carry that around mentally, right? And I think, I mean, he looked, did you watch his front nine?
Yeah, I did.
He looked tight.
Yeah, and it kind of looked, he made a couple of swings that were similar to, I can't remember if it was Saturday or Sunday at the Scottish, where with that driver, and he has that big right miss, it is almost like he's trying to guide it out there in that tight fashion that you're referring to. And he did that this morning, and I was like, oh man, he's got to get that reeled in, and he started to, but I think that's what I see when you're referring to him being tight.
Yeah, there was no freedom, and it leads to a lot of loose shots. The first two drives he hit, I think he was on 1 and 2, were just like, oh, they weren't off the planet, but they were not. It was a little port rushish. You know, you didn't have the out of bounds on the first hole, but it felt a little. I think here's the upshot, though. The upshot is you get that out of the way, and now theoretically you can just go play, right? Like, you're in the tournament now, you're in the rhythm of it. And it felt like he kind of saved his tournament over those last 7 holes, because you start to get to 1-2 over, and that's probably it. You know, Justin Ray had the stat, nobody's won from more than 5 back in the last 23 opens. So more than 5 back after round 1 in the last 23. So with the caliber of guys ahead of you, including Scheffler, Koepka, Fleetwood, Hovland, like it's going to be very difficult to rebound from it. Now he's in that Koepka zone where, yeah, you can go shoot 66 on Friday or Saturday, and all of a sudden you could be in the final pairing on Sunday.
Yeah, he's bought himself, instead of having to shoot something low on Friday to make the cut or something like that, he has bought himself time to shoot that low round, or to go out and find a little bit of magic, which is kind of what we see at these events.
Yeah. And, you know, I actually thought, I thought he and Koepka played rounds that were very reminiscent of each other. Koepka was not good over his first 9.
Yeah.
Played great coming home, played like a major champion coming home. And now he's like in it. And that was a little bit the same with Rory. If you swap what was the length of the putt he made on 14, like 35 feet?
Yeah, something like that.
If you swap that with the 3-footer he missed on 8, it makes the round makes more sense, right? To where it's like, oh, well, he kind of lost one there, but he got one back on 14. And yeah, I don't know. I do think it's a round that in the past, maybe he shoots 74 and we're talking about him being completely out of it. And I'm excited that he has an opportunity to shoot 65, 66 on Friday and maybe play his way back into it.
Not currently in that 5-stroke range is Jon Rahm, a 3 over 74 for the Spaniard, in which the round featured very little positives. A 3 on 10. That's the only birdie he made on the day. Offsets that with 4 bogeys, including one at the last, that pop bunker in which he had to play sideways or backwards. It just, Rahm put himself in a lot of awkward spots that do not lend themselves to scoring opportunities.
Yeah, it felt like he was going to turn his round around there in the middle when he made birdie on 10. I think he had a look on, was it 11? I think it was 11. He had like I think that was right. He had it tight and Rory hit it out to the right. Missed that one, and then just I don't know. He just is not playing. He's not playing necessarily horribly, but it's just not to the level that we're used to with Rahm. And he's another guy that off the tee can get into some trouble at times in ways that are pretty detrimental on this golf course.
He hit it to 6.5 feet on 11 and missed the putt.
Yeah, that's where it felt like I thought he was going to turn it around and maybe shoot 1-2 under.
And on 12, he hit it into the pop bunker in the fairway, played it backwards, then played it onto the green.
Yeah, that was sick. Honestly, this felt like the round that Rory could have shot.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Rory got those back-to-back birdies, and then saves par at 18. Rahm misses the first birdie opportunity, gives a stroke up on the next hole, hitting into the fairway bunker, and does not get up and down on 18. There's like 3 shots right there. That's it. That's the difference between those 2 rounds.
Rahm will finish T9, but never really have a chance to win the tournament.
Justin Thomas, barring the lowest round ever shot at a major championship, is not going to be around for the weekend because he shot an 82 on Thursday. That KP featured a quadruple bogey 9 on 18. That wasn't really he was bad before that. He was 7 over going to 18. This is now his second round in the 80s at the last 2. The last 2 rounds at major championships are 81, 82.
Yeah, 2 rounds in the 80s and 1 made cut in the majors this year.
And the other events haven't been that good either.
No, he's unequivocally lost. And we don't need to talk Ryder Cup today, but you can talk me into him you can talk me into some stuff there in a way that I don't know that I would have thought I would consider before. So we'll talk about that later. But, Rick, I think what's really interesting, and I would love to hear your take on this, is like golf is most other sports. You think about football, basketball, soccer, these different games that we watch. You can, when you're struggling mentally, you can out athleticism, you can out jump, you can outrun your problems. Right. Sort of the equivalent here is like Rick Ankiel not being able to throw a strike, right? Where you're just Chuck Knobloch to second base, like just mentally and this is not specific to JT, but when you're lost, you can't do anything physically to overcome it. You're just lost. And I think that as bad as that feels for JT right now, I think it'll actually provide depth for him as a character, as a historical character in golf going forward. And he doesn't want to hear that right now. And that feels terrible right now. But I think that'll actually be a meaningful thing because everybody, you think about Shane Lowry the year before he won in Portrush. He was, there was some story where he was like crying in his car. He was like, why do I play golf? That whole deal. Rory, before he won in 2014 here at Royal Liverpool, he said, this was at 13 at Muirfield when Phil Mickelson won. He said, I'm brain dead. This is the lowest that it's ever been for me professionally. And so these things usually precede stretches of really great golf from guys that are all-time greats. I think JT's, I don't know if he's an all-time great, but I think he has the potential to be. And he'll eventually get out of it. And I think it will provide really good context and depth for him as a figure in the future.